make a new type of news.
New insights, new style, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Making news just for you. It's July 14th here in Seoul. I'm Shin-Yun, and this is News Generation, where we make the news at Arirang's very own open studio. Every morning, we'll discuss the top issues and latest current affairs affecting people in their 20s and 30s. Joining me in the studio is Cheska Dainhong.
Happy Friday, everyone!
Happy Friday! And Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
All right.
So tamed.
Now, both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. As usual, let's start with our news feed, which covers different hashtags and news items that have been trending on social media over the past 24 hours. Do you think you'll be able to work till the age of retirement at the company you're in? Well, only 3 out of 10 Seoul residents in their 40s think they can. Another 3 want to, but are afraid that they can only stay at the same company for up to 10 years. Seoul 50 Plus Foundation conducted a survey on 1,189 people in their 40s to find out how stable people are at their current jobs. Moving on to our second story, Korean-American actor Steven Yeun has been nominated for his first ever Emmy. He has been nominated for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Limited Series or TV Movie. In his case, it was Beef. Netflix's Beef is the first series fully created by and starring Asians to have been nominated for an Emmy. And last but not least, our third story for you is the Korean Health and Medical Workers Union launched a large-scale strike on Thursday morning. A total of 45,000 medical workers, including nurses, pharmacists, and caregivers, walked out of some 145 medical facilities nationwide. It was the first time in 19 years that the union has participated in a strike like this. Medical staff came out to the streets demanding better working conditions and increased support for public medical institutions. And this has caused a lot of confusion among patients and the government. Days before the strike, the Health and Medical Workers Union did send out notifications to patients and canceled surgeries, but the government had warned medical workers to call the strike off, saying their actions could harm people's lives. If this is the case, officials said they would retaliate with severe penalties. At the same time, medical staff have demanded their legal rights of expression to be protected. Also said they were only doing this for better safety. Now, Walter, this is a contentious issue. Where do you stand on this?
I definitely feel for the medical staff. I mean, the government has these threats that, obviously they are endangering people's lives, and that's something that sadly has to be a part of it. But these are the people we turn to when we are sick or when we're in very bad situations, even politicians. So politicians should be able to sympathize with when they are sick or when they need surgery, that they, have to turn to these medical professions. And I don't think that the medical professions are asking for too much for the government to give more support. I mean, their job is already too far underpaid. I mean, arguably, probably one of the most stressful jobs in the world. I mean, you're dealing with somebody's life on a day-to-day basis, and the working hours are just so long. So the government really needs to listen to the medical workers, I believe.
Yeah, and not to mention, they're not only underpaid, but understaffed too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
What about you, Cheska?
I think recently there was pediatricians that kind of also went on a strike or decided to, shut down their offices.
Right.
So this kind of major scale strike definitely pains me because, as Walter mentioned, we are all in that. We can all be patients, and we're all in the service of these medical professionals. Now, I'm not in the industry, so I don't know the details of exactly what's going on for them to go on such a major strike the first time in 19 years. But I do hope that this tug of war between the government and the medical profession don't last too long so that the patients don't have to suffer.
Right, that's exactly the point right now that these officials are making. They're afraid that patients don't have anywhere to go, which would risk their lives, but at the same time, lives of medical staff matter too. And that was our news feed for this Friday, and we're now going to go on to our discussion topic. Last Friday, we kicked off our Visit Seoul 2023 series. And for those of you who might not know what this is a series we're doing to take you around the hottest attractions in the greater capital area. Today, we're going to take you around the most hip places trending among young people. Cheska, Walter, and I went to Seongsu. So Cheska, why don't you take us through this first hidden gem? It's also called the Brooklyn of Seoul. Did you know that?
Yes, I actually knew that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we went to Seongsu, so why don't you take us through what we did there?
Yes, and if you can't already tell, the excitement has
Yes,
still rubbed
I
off on me. I had such a fun time with all of us. If you look at the screen, you can see more details of our trip. But first, we definitely started off because we have to eat, right?
Yes.
You always start with the restaurant. There we are. We're walking into this cute restaurant that kind of reminded us Australian cafes, right, Walter? Oh, the food was amazing.
It was amazing.
We just kept eating and eating. We did a little bit of shopping, which is why it's called the Brooklyn
Right.
of Seoul, South Korea. There was these beautiful, just green cafes all around. And I think one of the things that I really like about Seongsu is you can see there's a lot of activities to do. And also the cafes, they really utilize the space. So you see these greens that you don't normally get to see in the suburbs of South Korea.
And there you two are.
Yes, and there's us walking in. Oh, the cute birds.
And look at the cafes. There's so many different types of themes, right?
Yes, and one of the things that I particularly like about this place, it's so close to Seoul Forest. So you really get this, suburban type of cafes and restaurants, but you just take a quick stroll and you get this Central Park vibe. Well, you can say Brooklyn Park vibe, I would say. Yeah, so you can just lounge around, have dates, hang out with friends like we did. But definitely one other thing I love about Seongsu is that, I think we haven't seen it in this episode, but they utilize the old factories and they rebuild some of the cafes, so they maintain that essence of Seongsu itself, but you also get a really nice mix of like modernization in it. So you can pick and choose which place you want to go. And I think that's for me the best part.
And that's why people call Seongsu so hip, because they can go inside these old factory-looking buildings and enjoy modern food, modern design. And we actually saw a little glimpse in the video, but there's so many photo studios too, and I think a lot of people in our generation love taking pictures. We actually did take a selfie. It wasn't here, but Walter wasn't too happy, by the way.
He did join, but
Yeah. I had to put one of those little headbands on. It was it was so fun, I guess. No, I love Seongsu-dong, and like you said, there were a lot of factories in that area, especially shoe factories. It's known as the area where shoes were made in bulk, and there even is still a lot of factories there these days, or shoe stores these days that still sell them. But the whole area is very nice. There are great places to eat. Whenever someone says Seongsu-dong, they always have their favorite place to talk about, right? I did think though it was more catered, especially the road that we went on, was more catered towards females, because I feel like it was like a kind of a girly vibe, or it's definitely for dates, but
Yeah, for sure.
dates are also mainly for the female, if you have a female with you.
Walter, you blended it perfectly.
Yeah, so I thought like me being the only male there, I was like, I mean, I get it, it's fun, but I wouldn't come here with my male friends. Like,
Really?
Unless like it was like, because there's also, that's a sort of hip area. There's also the back area as well with all those good restaurants. But the one we went to, I felt like, I'm pretty sure I was the only guy in that street at one point, and I was dressed in just a t-shirt and shorts and not looking hip at all.
The theme there, I think, is like brunch. Nice brunch. You can take a stroll around the park right after you go to a really cute restaurant, take pics with friends. Restaurants are nice. So that's one of the places, the hip place you can go around Seoul. Another hip place I personally love going to is Euljiro. Now, this place is one of my favorite places, and I have a video for you. So take a look at the screen to find out what Euljiro is about. We have a video for you. Euljiro is located in the Junggu area in Seoul, and this area has been around since the Joseon dynasty. At the time, a lot of government offices were concentrated there. That's why there's still many old buildings remaining in narrow alleyways. And if you can see, these are one of my favorite restaurants, actually. You can see so many different types of cafes and stuff like that. Many retro buildings have been renovated into cool cafes. A lot of, we call it hipjiro because it's so hip. And this street you see right now is known as Nogari Pocha Street. And nogari means dried polak. Its origins go back to when printing workers in the area made low wages, were looking for alcohol and cheap snacks to end their hard day off. And this area isn't just for these workers, it's filled with so many young visitors who like to take Instagram photos and enjoy the retro vibe. And now that's Cheonggyecheon Stream. It's an 11-kilometer long stream running through downtown Seoul. Fun fact, it was a restoration of a stream that was once there during the Joseon dynasty from 1392 to 1910. It was covered with a highway after the Korean War. Then in 2003, this elevated highway was removed to restore the stream, and it now passes through hot attractions. Also, you might know the Han River. And as you saw in the video, a lot of people go there with their friends, put their feet in the water, drink some beer. And I personally love Cheonggyecheon Stream because it gives you a glimpse of nature, I guess, even in a bustling city like Seoul. And
in the middle of the city.
In the middle of the city. And have you ever been to Euljiro?
Yeah, of course. I've been there several times, and since it's connected to so many different areas, it's really good to go to that Cheonggyecheon like stream, right? So it's got Myeongdong on one side, Cheongno on the other side, and if you keep walking and walking, you can even go far as Dongdaemun, etc. For me, I went to this really cool cafe. They all, like you said, the old buildings. Again, it's one of those towns that have converted a lot of old buildings into new hip cafes.
Yes.
And I've been to many of the hip cafes there. They're actually quite hard to find because it's very narrow streets, and to be honest with you, the buildings don't look renovated. They still look like the old
Government buildings
of old past, and even the restaurants,
Right.
they don't change at all. So it's not something that we're used to as I guess millennials or even Gen Zers. But I love it. I think it's a really cool area. Great restaurants, very close to everything, I think, and so that's why it's so hip.
And I remember, as you mentioned, the old buildings. At first, I thought it wasn't even in business because they look like they've closed down. But once you go in, the interior is so modern, so chic. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is a really great place. That's why they call it Instagrammable, because there's so many places you can take Instagram pics. What's your favorite place in Euljiro?
I mean, to be honest, I did go to the Nogari market,
Really?
but I actually so I took my international friends to this area, and I was, even as a Korean, I was amazed at the diversity of age group. So Walter mentioned in Seongsu, it was very obvious that this was like a hip, young place for young people like us.
The new generation.
But in the, he's like, but in the
Young people like us,
young people like us. But in the Euljiro, I could see from, families and parents to like people in the, I don't know, the age group, but just all ranges of people just coming together to enjoy outdoor seating, to eat chickens and beer. So that was something very unique. And Walter mentioned it also, but a little different and also very hip about Euljiro is that the buildings aren't fully renovated.
They aren't.
So from the outside, it just looks like one of those old stores that print or, make leather or, work in light bulbs even. But then you go in and then there's a whole new place that you just find.
It's a whole new scenery.
So it kind of feels like Narnia.
Oh, it does feel like Narnia.
It still actually has a lot of old businesses running. There's a big electronic area that's
area,
connected straight, right next to unique cafes as well. So it still has that old school feeling mixed with the modern kind of day.
There's actual workers still in the area, and also not to mention Gyeongbokgung.
All within walking distance.
All within walking distance. So if it's your first time in Seoul, I would personally recommend going to Euljiro. But then again, Walter, you didn't seem to be too happy with Seongsu-dong.
It was good. It was just I felt like the oldest person there, and I'm pretty sure I was.
No, you weren't. Come on.
But I do think you like Euljiro.
Maybe second oldest, not the oldest.
Euljiro is a lot of fun though. That's where I do usually go. There's some great samgyeopsal places in Euljiro.
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
And there's just a variety of food, and even obviously the market that's there.
The traditional markets.
The traditional markets. It's close to everything. I agree. If there's some place you want to go first, go to that area because everything is in walking distance. Gyeongbokgung is walking distance from Myeongdong. It's just a good day out for that one area.
Gyeongbokgung, traditional palaces, and Gwanghwamun, the traditional plaza. You can see a lot of people. But so Seongsu-dong, Euljiro might be on the bottom of your list. What's the top place you would like to recommend then?
Well, okay, there's kind of two places I'd like to recommend, although I kind of also don't fit in this market, but I think it's a cool area.
It's a cool area.
Okay, so there's two places. First is Abgujeong and also Garosu-gil. Now, here's the thing. Sadly, these are the areas that saw a real big decrease during the COVID-19 pandemic, right? This used to be, before the COVID-19 pandemic, it used to be very flourishing, and then the COVID came and it was just empty and ghost town. But luckily, these days, things are starting to pick up again, like in Myeongdong, like in Gangnam as well. Now, there are a lot of unique cafes, very independent cafes, plenty of shops, both branded shops as well as independent, which I know a lot of people like, and Western style foods as well. I think this is a great area for Western style foods. It's sort of like the Korean version of Hollywood Boulevard, I would say.
Is, yeah.
So then the main street has a lot to look at. The back streets though, they have all the good food places. So if you really want to go there, do your research and find all the back street restaurants I would recommend. And if you go a little like northeast of Karosugil, you can find Abgujeong Rodeo. Now, this is for the big spenders there. This is if you have a lot of money and you want to spend some money on some big luxury brands and stores. However, it's also known as the place where many people go to prepare for their wedding as well. Yeah, so a lot of people, you'll see a lot of couples around. They go to the dresses area, and there's also studios that they go to. So it's a great couple area to go to. It's, I think, very much specially designed for the couples out there. But also places like that are they're a little bit more on the expensive side. So that's why I would say that if you're willing to spend money, Abgujeong Rodeo is the best. But do you like BTS? Do you like SHINee? Do you like EXO? Of course you do. That's why you watch these kinds of shows. And if you're a fan of K-pop, then there is a road dedicated to some of the best K-pop bands out there called K-Star Road. Now, the reason why they're so cool is that this is, as you mentioned earlier, very Instagrammable. They have the sort of Mickey Mouse style dolls, the Gangnam dolls they call them, of each of your favorite K-pop bands, and a lot of people go there to take pictures of them.
Yeah, the Gangneung district has a lot of places for K-pop fans to go to, not to mention restaurants, as you could see in the video. I think photo studios are almost at every main attraction in Seoul nowadays.
Yeah, I think everyone like just loves taking photos of themselves.
It encapsulates the trend that we love recording ourselves, but also you mentioned it's a wedding road. There are a lot of studios and stuff like that.
So I went there a lot. Like, I think a lot of people choose that area to go prepare for their wedding because that's where the main dress shops are. That's where the main studios are.
Yeah.
So there is this very big mixture of different people, a lot of hip people, a lot of older people as well, because it is still quite an older but rich neighborhood.
It is a rich neighborhood.
So a lot of the oldies who are wealthy are still walking around, and you see a lot of people
wearing fashionable clothes.
Wearing fashionable clothes that I'm too scared to even walk into the store in. As soon as like a security guard looks at me, I'm like, oh, I'll just go this way.
And as the name suggests, it's rodeo, right?
Yeah.
So it's Abgujeong Rodeo. There's Rodeo Drive, and I think it was California in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
And it's as you mentioned, it's really similar to Hollywood Boulevard.
I think it's so similar to that.
Yeah,
like it's where
cool bars, the nightlife's really nice.
People always like carrying around their Chanel bags.
But it's really nice. You can see like fashionable people. It's fun. Have you ever been?
Yes, I also do love the area. I don't carry Chanel bags. But the thing is, the one thing I love, well, there are many things, but a couple of things that I really love about Abgujeong Rodeo is one, it is like California Boulevard, but also reminds me of kind of like Park Avenue, Madison Avenue, 5th in Manhattan. It's the people that come dress in a very unique and fashionable style. It's kind of fun to people watch.
It's really fun to people watch.
Like if you Walter's like, I'm too scared to approach.
I hope people aren't watching me in my $5 shirt and $10 pair of jeans. So.
And also, as an avid espresso lover, as you all know, I go cafe hunting, and Abgujeong Rodeo has the most unique, sort of like European feel cafes to very modernized like wooden cafes. So you can have your like pick and choose for brunch spot, especially if you're a girl. Just take your girl mates out there. So it's a fun little date.
And in all these locations we introduced to you guys can either drive, but also the public transit is just so good. There's so many stations nearby. So remember our first episode in Visit Seoul 2023? You can look at the map there. Use the subway or bus to easily go to these areas. And we're now also going to hear what our viewers think are their hidden attractions or go-to places in Seoul are. Take a look at the screen to find out what 3 of them recommended. So No Country for Old Men said, I'm from London, but I used to live in Seoul. Back in the day, I visited Cheonggyecheon, which is a lovely stream. We introduced that. It's a great place to visit on a summer evening, especially for families and couples. It's cooler and more beautiful in the evening.
That's
100%.
True. That is very true.
And there are often lantern festivals and other events going on. Moon Illumination said the Yeouido area by the Han River was most memorable for me when I went there. You can rent a bike and ride along the Han River and have a smiley heart. You can also have a picnic. It's a really nice area. Robert Dawson 890 said the subways in Korea are fantastic. I just like to ride as there's free Wi-Fi. Most passengers are on their phones at the times that I've been traveling on it. And I think Robert mentioned a great point too. Whenever I visit a city, I love riding their subways just because I can see different types of people and go on with their bustling lives, but also I'm curious where it can take me to. And as I mentioned before, the advantage of riding the Korean subway is wherever you land, there's so many different attractions nearby, cute retro buildings and cafes. But I would now like to wrap up our discussion based on time. What do you guys think is the common trait behind all these different attractions that we've been introducing so far? And what would you say many people in our generation look for when traveling?
I think especially in the millennial generation Z, is it Instagrammable, as you mentioned before? Is it social media friendly? Because that's all we want to do is we want to upload that.
That's not true.
That's so true, Cheska.
That's not
It
true.
is, because people, all they want to do is like get the likes for their little Instagram page. Like, ooh, I've been here and I've ate this and I've done that, which I don't particularly do because I'm an old fart.
So what do you look for when traveling about?
Well, I go for food. I'm a foodie, so I look for food. So I don't like. Obviously, it's nice to go out and find beautiful scenery. I do like walking a lot, but I'm all about going for food. And I guess Euljiro is probably the best place for food, in my opinion, because they're the restaurants, they're the street markets. There's a bit of everything for you, right?
You know, I'm smiling right now because I feel like I persuaded Walter that the hippest place is also Euljiro then.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, again, I think it's quite popular for many of us. That's why I think also opening a themed cafe is dangerous, because Korea's trend changes very, very, very quickly. And so we're always looking for new cafes, but once we've been there, we don't need to go again because we've taken the photos.
We've taken the photos. We tried that experience out before. What about you, Cheska? What do you think our generation looks for when looking for hip attractions?
So I'm going to stronghead defend the 20s and 30s, that Instagram. But I think taking photos is definitely important. But I would like to add that most MZs have an extremely routine life. It's office, home, I mean, if you were in school, and then maybe gym.
Maybe gym.
So we crave that kind of like breath of fresh air.
So true.
You know, places that would transport us to somewhere that we've never been before, places we could not possibly see. And also we kind of want to share it on social media to say, hey, this is my life outside of my work clothes or my $5 shirt, right? So I think it's more about, you know, the exciting and the beautiful, and of course some places that you can enjoy with a lot of people.
Yeah, taking a breather. It gives you like new experiences. For instance, Cheonggyecheon Stream, one of our viewers also mentioned, even though it's bustling with company workers, you feel like you're at this like new haven. It's very safe for you. You go out, feel the breeze and stuff like that. So I think our episode today took you around one of the hippest places in Seoul. Hopefully you'll be able to visit one day. And we'll be here every day from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you more topics young people are talking about. Special thanks to Cheska Dainhong.
Pleasure's always mine. Thank you.
And Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
And thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next week. We are
News Generation.